So he looks as if he is a Norwood. I would argue maybe looks pretty good at this angle. And the crown, actually, with the wet hair, this is kind of I would wish people start doing a bit more, is making sure their before and afters are at similar hair lengths. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another hair loss video. Today we're going to be looking at the tressless hair loss subreddit, the most popular subreddit for hair loss sufferers. And we're going to be looking at this particular user by the name of GarloBX, and they actually reversed 8 years of their hair loss, so I'm assuming they started losing their hair 8 years ago in just 15 months. So without further ado, let's actually have a look at the post. Let's click it over here, and let's see what they actually did to kind of bring back their hair. So you can already see over here in the before and after, right? They had a substantial amount of regrowth overall, but let's read the post real quick. So the title of the post is, quote, reversing 8 years of hair loss in 15 months, unquote. The user writes, quote, my hairline is still so-so, and my crown is not ideal, but I am very happy still. The diffuse thinning on top is mostly recovered. Maybe I'll do a hair transplant in a few years if I don't recover some more along with the hairline and crown. I'm 32 years old, and I used 1 milligram finasteride and 5% topical minoxidil for the first 9 months or so. Then I transitioned over to 0.5 milligram dutasteride every other day and oral minoxidil after that. I increased the minoxidil dosage slowly from 1 milligram, now taking 5 milligram. Drinking topical minoxidil, no judgment please, haha. I'm really careful with the dosage, and it's the only way I can get it. Looking decent, right? Friends I only see now and then are shocked. I guess I meant to say shocked. This is after growing out my hair for about 3 to 4 months, with a haircut in February shorten the sides slightly, unquote. So let's have a look over here, right? So if we look in the midsection, you can see that there is some hair here, right? There are some follicles, these like small little black dots, but obviously they're not as dense in appearance compared to what lies beyond the midsection. So in his parietal area, his parietal zone, there are more active hairs, and each follicle is possibly producing more hairs, and each hair is thick, right? As opposed to the midsection, you just see like, little bits and pieces of hair of follicular openings here and there. But in any case, that's still a good sign that the follicles are still metabolically active, right? As long as they're producing a hair, it's possible for you to get some kind of a recovery. So that's the first picture over here. Moving on to the second picture, now we're getting a better reality. So he looks as if he is a Norwood, I would argue maybe between a 5 and a 6, but he still has some hair over here. This is kind of like an outline of a Norwood 3, I would argue, right? But it's very, very diffuse in the midsection, right? But the parietal area looks pretty strong. Let's see if I can open up the image over here. Yeah, the parietal section is pretty strong. It's just the midsection and the lack of, I guess, a very prominent hairline, right? In any case, let's look at another photo. So we get a side profile over here. Like I said, yeah, he has a, he does have some donor area hair that he can possibly use to fill up the hairline area. But I'm assuming this is before treatment, these photos that we're looking at right now, right? And this is the recovery they got, right? They let their hair grow out a bit, and they were on treatment. And, I'm going to be real. Let's look at another photo. It looks pretty good. Like, this is something that's definitely presentable, right? And I don't think he would have had this kind of, density per se had he just started growing his hair from here, right? Obviously, again, there are some, there is some activity in the midsection of his scalp, but overall, I think the treatment definitely helped him, kind of made those midsection hairs thicker. One thing I would wish people start doing a bit more is making sure their before and afters are at similar hair lengths so we can get a better understanding about just the overall framing of the hair before treatment and while on treatment, right? So this is pretty interesting. But this is their other side profile, and they have some really good donor area hair. This is really phenomenal. I can see, him being a really good hair transplant candidate. Definitely he can get to a Norwood. Maybe I'm being a bit too, aggressive with this one, but he can probably get to a Norwood 2.5 in terms of his hairline. And then if they just thicken up the midsection, if we go back over here, right, if they thicken up the midsection a bit, he can be very, very quote unquote normal, right? Now let's keep moving on in the camera roll. And yeah, he's pulling back his hairline. And let's be real, this isn't a product of just chance. This is because he's on medication, right? Let's look at the other side. Look at that, right? This is not too shabby. This is a pretty decent hairline. And it's good that he's on treatment because now he's probably saving himself, a couple, maybe 1,000 grafts. Let's be real here, right? Okay, another top view of the scalp. This time he's standing under direct light, so it's a bit harsh. There are some weak areas, particularly on the crown area. His crown's kind of weak, but I'm going to be honest. I feel like the midsection is holding up pretty well, right? This is kind of surprising because if we look at the first photo over here, right, like, there are some intermediate hairs, but a lot of them look kind of, damn near vellus, right? But if you go to the photo we were just looking at right now, the top view, right, with his hair, it looks like all those hairs kind of transitioned into sort of a intermediate kind of look. So this is a pretty interesting recovery. And this is their hair wet again, the guy's hair wet again. And over here, it doesn't look too bad, actually, right? So I'm assuming maybe this is further down the line in terms of his hair loss recovery journey. But yeah, the midsection over here looks pretty good at this angle. And the crown, actually, with the wet hair, this is kind of unusual. Maybe it's the angle too. But with wet hair, the crown actually looks pretty good, right? This doesn't look bad. This is very presentable. And again, I don't think he would have gotten this kind of density had he just, grown out his hair in the beginning, like from here, right? Clearly, it was very sparse in the midsection. So all in all, he did a really good job. And his stack is 0.5 milligram dutasteride, oral dutasteride every other day, right? And he says he's using oral minoxidil, but he's drinking it in topical form. So it's about 5 milligram oral minoxidil that he's calculating from his topical solution. And guys, let me be real with you. Please do not drink the topical minoxidil. If you're going to take oral minoxidil, don't drink it via topical, right? It's better for you to just simply go get the oral pills, right? From a doctor, from some sort of reliable source. Don't risk it. Don't do anything crazy like drinking topical minoxidil if you are going to go the oral minoxidil route. But overall, yeah, this is a really good recovery. It only took him 15 months, right? Guys, look, this guy has been suffering from hair loss for 8 years, right? That's 8 years of his life. And, with just 15 months worth of effort and the occasional possible shedding here and there, right? He got a pretty substantial result, right? This is some pretty good stuff. And now the message to you, if you're somebody in the audience who's a bit on the fence about this kind of stuff, it's time for you to take action. It's time for you to actually try it out yourself, right? Go to a doctor, ask for finasteride at the very least. At the very least, finasteride. Because maybe you can get a similar, depending on where you started out, maybe you can get a similar before and after, right? This is what we see on the right, something presentable. So give it a shot, guys. You never know how it may turn out for you. So with that being said, that's it for this video. That's it for this case study. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you're interested in getting some sort of consultation when it comes to hair transplants or looking at the medical literature and coming up with some sort of a, treatment plan that you can take to your doctor and discuss about. Maybe you need help when it comes to advocating for yourself as a patient with your doctor. I'm always here. My consultation links are in the description below, and also my Discord server is there too. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.